1,000 pounds. On the back squat and deadlift alone, we have 9 men in the field that are already over 1,000 pounds without the press even included. Here in heat number 1, we will have a field of 13, including on this first page of athletes in lane number 7, Zeke Grove, second in event number 2. He sees himself in 6th in the point standings. On our second page, in lane number 11, Logan Collins, your event 2 winner, 7th in the point standings. But we have 3 rookies to keep an eye on all over the 1,000 pound mark, but we don't know how the rain is going to affect this.
Well, Brandon, the rain shouldn't be too big of a deal here. These athletes, we want to be ready for the unknown and unknowable. This is just one more element that gets thrown at them.
Well, the bars are going to be a little bit wet, but the weight is still going to be heavy as we start our first of 3 windows. 4 minutes for 3 attempts at a 1-rep max back squat.
And Brandon, they've got, like you said, they've got 3 attempts here to get on the board with the heaviest possible lift. And their goal here is to get on the board early, make sure you get that first one. The second lift, you're going to try to jack the weight up, and the third should be shooting for the stars, hoping for the best. Because if that bar does hit the ground, it's your responsibility to pick it back up, load it back into the racks.
You said that there's 9 men with 2 of these lifts that total over 1,000 pounds. 3 of them rookies in this heat. One of them has 425 on the bar, and that's Jared Enderton, who could make good use of those keys here in this one. As Frederick Agidius, the lone men's alternate to make it after disqualifications happened at regionals. He's in and leading the way at 4:15 with his first attempt. It might be short-lived. Former power lifter Jared Enderton on the bar at 4:25.
That looked like a great squat, really fast speed down into the hole, came right back out at 5'6", 195 pounds. He is really, really strong.
Excuse me, correct myself there. Not former powerlifter, former strongman. Bit of a difference there between the two. Still both very strong.
One of the things we should notice, too, is that at one point in Jared's life, he was over 300 pounds in body weight, so he's down over 100 pounds.
So Enderton leading at 4:25. Frederick Agidius has declared 4:35 for his second of 3 attempts. Logan Collins, one of the smallest athletes in the field, has put up 4:15, 7th in the point standings, and despite being the 3rd smallest athlete in the field, he has the 14th highest total of back squat and deadlift combined coming into the competition, as Rogelio Gamboa is in over the 400-pound mark. .435 for Frederick Agidius. And that was easy.
Again, one of the things that I look at is when we're coaching the back squat is to make sure that we get enough speed that there's elastic energy to come out of the bottom like a spring. You don't want to get pinned at the bottom of that squat.
The rain continues to fall, and for an update there, we go to Mike Arsenault.
Thanks, Brendan. Well, the rain's actually sorely needed. It was very hot so far today, very humid, so the cloud cover, it is more comfortable here on the field. It's not raining sheets, but it is consistent rain. So, Rob, the question I have for you, as we see this rain hitting the platforms, what should these athletes be concerned about if the platform gets a little bit slick and they have over 400 pounds on their back?
Great question, Mike. I think what we see with most CrossFitters, the way they squat, is it's a more narrow stance. They don't squat like a power lifter where they're going to open their stance really wide, turn the toes out. So I don't see slipping being an issue. It's not going to be an issue at all on the standing press because your feet don't move at all. Same thing on the deadlift. So honestly, the only tricky part here would be making sure that you've got chalk on the bar when you get up to the deadlifts.
Jared Enderton continuing to lead the way. He's declared 4:75 for his final attempt, which would be 20 more than his current mark of 4:55. We have a gaggle of athletes in at 4:35. Frederick Agidius, one of that pack, as he's making his attempt at 4:55 to match Enderton with 30 seconds until the 4-minute cap. Not bad for somebody that 2 weeks ago wasn't even supposed to be here. 470 is good for Royce Dunn, another one of the super strong rookies here in this heat. Enderton has moved up from 475 to 480, and he's good at 480. 5'6", 195, throwing up 480 like it was nothing. as the 4-minute mark has come and gone. So they will transfer from the squat to the press. Alexander Caron had to dump out of a 4:55 attempt. So one of the 3 men in the top 10 in the point standings here in this heat. Caron is 6th after the first lift at 4:35.
You could see him a little bit of a limp there as he walks away. He was shaking his right knee, so he's trying to figure out, like, you know, is that going to be an impact? Again, on the strict press, it shouldn't be. There's no knee bend allowed whatsoever.
And let's take a look at what happened here with Caron. Oh, you can see that foot just kick out from underneath him. And he didn't have, it was the left foot that slid out, but that right foot didn't have a good landing either when that happened.
And it looked like the plates came down. They might have just nipped his foot as it hit the ground.
So Caron, a rookie that was having a very promising start to the competition. We'll see how he progresses. And if he could shake that one off, because he's loading 188 up onto the bar. Meanwhile, Royce Dunn has taken the overall lead at 655 pounds. As his name highlighted in blue as the heat leader. Everybody else will be highlighted in red. We won't have the minus numbers. We're just going to have the total amount lifted with your best lift at each station. A no rep there for Jared Enderton at 215. And as the rain continues to fall, let's go back down to Mike Arsenault with another update.
5 members of the event staff just came onto the floor and dropped a couple of towels at each person's lifting platform for the shoulder press, so they can dry down their bar before they lift. And there's probably a good chance that they'll take that with them as they head to the deadlift, although they do have chalk, which will help with the grip. If it continues to rain, the deadlift bars that have just been sitting there, they will be quite slick.
Thank you, Mike. And we've seen a lot of the athletes wiping down the platform as well as this has gone, as Agidius good at 170. That will move him up to 625 pounds, bringing him back into the top 5. Dunn continuing to lead the way. And Enderton got that no rep at 215. He's going to take another shot at it. That one was good. And that will put him back out in front at 695 pounds, 20 pounds clear of Dunn. So it's a couple of rookies leading the way. It's Logan Collins, make it 3 rookies leading the way as Pablo Chalfon is in at 650. Update on Caron, he was good at 205 pounds on the press. He sits now in 5th place, tied for 5th at 640. So might be some good news there that he was able to kind of shake that loose, it appears.
Looking down the line here, we've got about 45 seconds left. There's no real reason to rush. You're probably on your 3rd lift. You can use the entirety of that 4 minutes. So my guess is that we're going to see a bunch of athletes step up and grab that last lift in the next 15, 20 seconds.
And now we have a clear look at the field there, as next to step up to the bar, 220 for Royce Dunn. The first to attempt a full 100 kilos. He's good, 220 in for Dunn. And he'll be 5 pounds behind Enderton as it stands right now with 15 seconds remaining at the station before they move to the deadlift. Enderton with 225 on the bar. Smooth. So put Enderton over 700 pounds, and we haven't even gotten to the deadlift until right now. Keep in mind, we showed you a little bit ago, the top score in 2007 was 12:25, set by Connor Banks, almost 100 pounds clear a second. We're already at 700 with 2 lifts done, 1 remaining, and it's the one that you can put up the most weight for most of these athletes. So again, it was Connor Banks, 12:25, and only 4 athletes are over 1,000. We're going to have most of this heat able to pass that number, I presume, at this point. Again, it's another 4-minute window, 3 attempt maximum. And this is moving a little bit slower because not only are they loading up the bar, we're seeing most of the athletes taking their time at the platform, cleaning it off, trying to dry it up as much as possible. Sean Sweeney good at 4:55 as he had a quick load of that bar. And for a moment, he will see his name atop the leaderboard at 10:55. So the first man to clear 1,000 pounds, Sean Sweeney, the CrossFit Cowboy, making his second trip to the games. 4:75 is going to be the declared weight for Frederick Agidius. 4:55. Well, Marquand Jones was no good. Now you can move up and down with your weight selection. It's not locked on there that you can only go up. 4:85 for your Latin America regional champion, Pablo Chalfun. Jared Enderton starting at 4:75. Goals.
Yeah, that was
easy.
a great deadlift. It was really efficient.
5:25 for Alexander Caron. We were wondering if he was going to be okay after that slip and fall on the back squat, and he made 5:25 look like child's play.
I think he's okay, Brandon.
And we can move on from that question as he's now back up into second place at 11:75, 5 pounds behind Enderton. 5:45 for Royce Dunn will be his declared lift. Logan Collins, 170-pound athlete, 5:05 on the bar, nearly triple body weight. And the Muscle Up winner in event number 2 is among the leaders in CrossFit Total as well. Talk about well-rounded athlete there for Logan Collins. So 4:55 good for Saxon Panchik as Royce Dunn continuing to lead the way, but Enderton could take the lead briefly. 5:05 is good for him. He'll still sit in the second position, 25 points behind, and Royce Dunn has been the first person to officially clear the winning score in 2007 as he's at 1,235 pounds. His next declared weight is 565. That'll be a 20-pound bump from 5:45 as we're in the final 35 seconds until our 12-minute time cap. On the third and final of the 3 lifts that make up CrossFit Total, 5:65 on the bar for the Australian rookie. It wasn't easy, but it got there. 5:65 good for Dunn. Caron, another one of the rookies. He's up with 5:55. Enderton at 5:25, and we're seeing some huge scores here in heat number 1. With 2 heats remaining, the race is on as it's going to be Royce Dunn leading the way. 1,255 pounds for a back squat, a press, and a deadlift.
It was a really great performance by Royce Dunn. He was strong in each of the different movements. 470 on the squat, 220 on the press. It's really well balanced. It's impressive to see an athlete because a lot of times what we see, Brandon, is somebody who's really good at pressing often isn't the best puller on the deadlift. So to see Royce Dunn that well-rounded, very impressive.
A man that needed to win the final event to move himself into the qualifying positions out of the Pacific Regional. Dunn wins, but another impressive athlete was Enderton.
Jared Enderton put on a show on the back squats, looked really strong from start to finish. His press was just as good, 225 pounds. He's got the right levers for that at 5'6". And Caron, so strong on the deadlift. We were questioning whether his foot was going to be okay, but at 5'55", made that look great. Royce Dunn, 5'65". It was a little bit slow once he crested his knees, but he pulls those shoulders back, gets himself in position for a 5'65" pull.
That's just 8 pounds under his listed PR of 5'73", and it was just enough for Royce Dunn to have a 25-pound lead after heat number 1. 12:55 will be the score to beat Jared Enderton, also beating the top score from 2007 at 1,230 pounds. And Alexander Caron went from a scare on the back squats to 3rd provisionally through 1 of 3 heats, with heat number 2 in rainy Madison coming up next.
Sun's out, guns out. Times for a good old-fashioned bro sesh, Bill. The heavyweights are on the competition floor. We've gone from gymnastics now to just pure feats of strength. Thanks for staying with us today, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland. Alongside Bill Grundler, Mike Arsenault is on the competition floor. It's the third event of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games, and it's all about pure strength.
It is pure strength, and you know we've done this back in the original games in 2007, and we're going to just see how far these athletes have come with their strength this year, 2018.
Speaking of 2007, that was the first time that this event was done at the CrossFit Games, the very first CrossFit Games, and it was Connor Banks who had the top score, 1,225 pounds. Plenty of men are going to eclipse that mark here in the final two heats. In this second of three heats, 13 total athletes, including some guys who are used to putting up some big weight. Lane number 3, Nick Urankar is one of them. Scott Panchik, lane number 7. Right next to him, Rasmus Anderson in lane 6. And then Bjorben Carl Gudmundsson, another guy who excels at moving weight around. But man, Nick Urankar has been licking his chops for this event.
Well, it's a strength event, and this is what he's known for. We've missed him the last couple years at the games. He made himself back in here. He had an injury last year, but we're looking to see some big, crazy circus feats from Nick, and he needs this, especially coming into this event. Alex Anderson, again, if there's a strength event, or a power event, he's going to do really well here. He's got one of the highest numbers overall out of the back squat and the deadlift, so to see all three lifts put together, it's going to be something special for him.
Second of three heats is underway. We start with a 4-minute window. For the back squat, they have to make at least 2 attempts, and they have a max of 3 attempts. The top score right now, unofficially, belongs to Royce Dunn at 1,255 pounds.
So much weight. And here's the thing, because they only get a max of 3 attempts, you have to have a heavy warm-up in the back. So these guys should be doing a lot of heavy lifting, get that body ready to go, so that they come out here and go big. And then, hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And what I mean by that is you want your first one to count, so you're probably going to be sitting somewhere around 75, 80, 85% of your 1-rep max. The second one needs to be a good 90 if you feel good, and then the third one's go for it. So if you get to 2 out of 3, that ain't bad.
Nick Urankar is going to open with 425. He's now on the left of your screen. Scott Panchik at 440, and that's good. So these guys making their opening lifts look relatively easy as Panchik takes the early lead.
You know, the fact that we are seeing an opening lift at 440 pounds, you got to remember, these guys did their warm-up, and then they came out to the floor. It was about 15, sometimes around 20 minutes. So they cooled off. They weren't sitting there under a lot of load. So that's impressive if they could start up that high.
Panchik is adding more weight to his bar. 440 pounds is good on his first lift.
You know, we talked about that percentage coming out on your first lift. Scott has a 1-rep max on the back squat of 500 pounds. So you take 80% of that, it comes out to 400 pounds exactly. So he's above that, about at 85%, which is right where he needed to be. And you saw how comfortable he was with that lift.
Scott Panchik has been captain consistency at the CrossFit Games. This is his 7th straight appearance. He's never finished lower than 6th, but never finished higher than 4th. And right now, Panchik sits in 24th place overall, the 27th in the opening event, the Criterion, which seems like ages ago, and then 17th in the 30 muscle-ups.
You know, you're right. He just is so consistent, and one of the things about being in that position, you get kind of overlooked. But Nick doesn't like to be overlooked. So he wants to throw a lot of weight on his bar. We see that 455. And the thing is, look how narrow his feet are. And he jumped up super fast. Usually you see powerlifters a much wider spread of their stance. Extremely powerful.
Nick Urankar has hit 455 pounds, and Panchik has hit 470.
Again, look how narrow that is. Right under his shoulder. I say that's for a good squat position, but that makes it that you have to go down a lot lower. And I didn't see his knees buckle in, so a very strong stance in that real narrow position.
Alex Anderson, meanwhile, currently sits in 4th place in this heat. He made 430 pounds, and Scott Panchik is making the jump to 495. and he has a minute remaining in this window. The lift needs to be completed by the 4-minute mark.
So for Scott, this is right under. Oh, he's jumping up. A little bit of Price is Right gaming going on.
500 pounds for Scott Panchik. Here's your rank card, 475. And your rank card will hit that.
Not too shabby.
And here goes Scott Panchik for 500 pounds.
Big breath. Look at that, out of the bottom. Wow, didn't even slow down. No shake, no nothing. Tied as 1 rep max. Great start for Scott Panchik.
Panchik did that with Ben Smith in the team series last fall, so he is no stranger to putting 500 pounds on his back and squatting it. So Panchik now with a good lead heading into the shoulder press. One more look at that 500-pound lift.
Look at the confidence. Boom, and right out. His body did not wobble. It did not bobble. It didn't break anywhere. That was pure confidence.
Great lift from Scott Panchik, and now we move on to part 2 of the CrossFit Total, the shoulder press. So Panchik with a 25-pound lead over Nick Urankar, and once again Scott Panchik, who has never finished lower than 6th in his 6 trips to the CrossFit Games, is trying to work his way up the leaderboard as he currently sits in 24th place overall after 2 events.
So Scott has a great start. We got to remember, we're adding these 3 lifts together. This next lift, that strict press, you aren't going to have the big number differences that you would in the other one. So the fact that he's got a 25-pound jump on Nick Urankar, that's good. But Nick Urankar, if you look at the size of this guy's bowling ball shoulders, he's not going to have any issue pushing weight up overhead. Look at both these guys. Oh my gosh. Beautiful, strong lifts. Now we saw that 220 earlier in the last heat. I expect to see the exact same thing here by these 2 gents.
Elliot Simmons in the background hits his lift. Now Craig Kenny at 225 pounds.
Wow.
If you blinked, you missed that. That was incredible.
But you know what? That's exactly how it should be. You don't want to sit with that bar in that front rack position for any long. Come right off the rack, get ready to push and go. The longer you wait, the lower that bar is going to come down onto your shoulders.
Craig Kenny with that lift ties Jared Enderton so far for the best lift in the shoulder press. Nick Urankar now at 195 pounds. Panchik loading the bar to 200 pounds meanwhile.
I'm surprised Nick isn't jumping up. I mean, he moved that last one so easy. Yeah, see, that
no
was
problem for Urankar, and Scott Panchik does with 5 pounds better on the right of your screen, so Panchik moves his total to 700 pounds. Craig Kenny, meanwhile, making his 2nd appearance at the CrossFit Games, and when he was in high school, he played high school football, and to train, he had a 1965 Ford Falcon that he used to just push up a hill.
That's pretty good. I thought you were going to say that he trained to have the Magnum PI mustache. Because
you can't teach that, Bill.
That is impressive, and it's been impressive for a couple years now. I like it, Kenny. Good job.
Craig Kenny now at 240 pounds. His younger brother, John, actually once appeared on the show Survivor.
Big yell. Watch how fast it comes off his shoulders. Sets and goes. Boom!
And that will count for Craig Kenny, 240. That's the new top shoulder press so far, as we are in the 2nd of 3 heats here in the CrossFit Total. Nick Urankar on the left trying to get the crowd fired up. Scott Panchik, meanwhile, hits another lift. Panchik at 210 is good, and he remains in the lead. Here's Urankar at the same weight.
You know what? Beautiful press. Did you see how that's a strict press? Strict. No movement, no bobbling, no pressing, no kind of trying to get a little momentum. That was just straight right off the shoulders.
But Scott Panchik has opened up a big lead here as we're inside 30 seconds to go in this 4-minute window. 710 pounds for Scott Panchik, as Dean Linder-Layton had 225 on the bar. And here goes Craig Kenny.
Wow. What? No rep.
That will not count for Craig Kenny. But he now sits in 4th place in this heat, 675 pounds. But now Scott Panchik setting himself up nicely.
And he needs that protection. If you're talking about the deadlift, his 1 rep max is 520 pounds. Your rank car's at 555. Look at that beautiful lift by Craig Kenny.
And that was his 2nd attempt. And that got no reps.
And that was, I believe, because of the foot. You saw his foot just slightly move at the very, very end. It's a tough one.
Now on to the deadlift. The score to beat still belongs to Royce Dunn, 1,255 pounds. So that is within reach for Scott Panchik, as Cody Anderson has hit a lift, and that has put him in the lead temporarily. But Scott Panchik will change that once he hits 475 pounds. Nick Urankar, meanwhile, loading the bar at 505 pounds. More than a minute has already gone by here in this final 4-minute window. Lucas Eschlinger at 505. That is good for him. And here's Nick Urankar.
Wow, he just did that beltless also. He took the belt off to do the 500 pounds. If you see that, that belt's for stability. Keeps you nice and tight in that midline. Took it off before he started. Crazy.
And more importantly for Urankar, he takes the lead in this heat by 5 pounds over Scott Panchik at 1190. Creeping up now on the mark to beat of 1255 unofficially. That belongs to Royce Dunn. Now Panchik making a jump to 500 pounds. Two minutes to go before we hit the 12-minute time gap.
So all these athletes, they have a minimum of 2, maximum of 3 attempts. So they have that rest time. Try to get the weights on as fast as you can so you can prepare yourself. And then again, you want that last lift to be on those last 20 seconds so you utilize all that time.
545 pounds on the bar for Lucas Eschlinger, making his 3rd appearance at the CrossFit Games, and he will hit that lift. Eschlinger's best career finish here last year when he finished 18th overall at the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games. And now Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson at 545 pounds. And that will count for BKG.
Beautiful lift.
The standings continue to shuffle as Eschlinger is now tied with Panchik at 12:10. Urankar hits 5:25.
And you know what? I just think he's playing it too conservative. I'm not really sure why he's sitting down here too low. He's able to move those weights easily, so he needs to make the jump. I mean, you're back in the games. Make the jump, Nick.
Willie Georges hit 5:55. He is the first man from France to qualify as an individual here at the CrossFit Games. Eschlinger, Urankar, and Panchik all tied at 1,210 pounds. So barring a drastic jump from one of those 3, it looks like Royce Dunn's mark of 1,255 pounds will hold going into the final heat. Less than 30 to go before we hit the 12-minute time cap. Now 5:55 for Nick Urankar, and Scott Panchik just hit 5:25 to move into the lead, but that won't last because now Nick Urankar at 12:40. Lucas Eschlinger hits 5:80.
Man, it came off the ground so easy.
Here's 5:90 for Willie Georges.
What?
2 seconds to go, and that's going to count for the Frenchman.
Man, he timed that perfect. That's what you want. You want to finish it right at the buzzer and to hit a 5:90?
How many weights did Willie Georges lift? The answer, all of them. Wow, what a performance there from the rookie from France, as he is right now tied for 5th in this event unofficially. Lucas Eschlinger is going to take the heat, but he was 10 pounds shy of overtaking Royce Dunn for the top score of 1,255 pounds.
You know, that great, we talked about those lifts, how important they are to go for the big numbers. And Scott, that 500-pound lift, tied his 1 rep max. We've seen him do this before in competition. And look at this. Just pure strength out of the bottom. No hesitation. Usually at that 2nd spot, I didn't see that at all. Craig Kenny right off the rack, right to the shoulders, and immediately up into the air. Very smart way to do that. Don't want to hang out with that bar too long, but 590 for Willie George. Beautiful stand-up. Again, looked extremely powerful. Way to get those numbers up on the board.
Unofficial results from the second of 3 heats has Lucas Eschlinger edging out Nick Urankar as Eschlinger made up a ton of ground there on the deadlift. Scott Panchik drops to 3rd, and it's Willie George with that monster deadlift in 4th, and it's Alex Anderson rounding out the top 5. With 1 heat remaining, Royce Dunn from Australia still has the top mark as the big weights are going up. We will have the final heat coming up next from the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Final heat of event number 3 here on the opening day of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games from Madison, Wisconsin at the Alliant Energy Center. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Glad you can be here. I'm Sean Woodland alongside Bill Grundler, and it's Mike Arsenault who is on the competition floor. Prior event was all about gymnastics, and now we flipped the script again as this one is all about strength.
100% strength. What do you have? And you know, this is a little different than the Olympic lifts, which are very dynamic and explosive. This is just pure grunt power.
CrossFit Total is a CrossFit benchmark. It was first done at the very first CrossFit Games in 2007 at that Dusty Ranch in Aromas, California, and it was Connor Banks who had the top score of 1,225 pounds. That has already been beaten by multiple men. 13 athletes on the floor in this 3rd and final heat, including your overall leaders. Adrian Moonwiller in lane number 10 is tied with Matt Fraser in points, but Moonwiller has the tiebreak because he won event number 1. But Matt Fraser looking to track him down here in event number 3.
You know, on National Swiss Day, it's kind of interesting that you have a little Swiss up there at the top, and he's been very impressive in that. I mean, on the bike race, he was impressive. Gymnastics, impressive. And he's extremely strong when you look at how his numbers compare to everyone else across the board with just the back squat and the deadlift. He's sitting in a 7th place position in the field. But then again, you have someone like Ben Smith who's sporting the beard. I like it, looking very rough and rugged here. 4th overall with his one rep max back squat and deadlift. So I think also we're going to see something special there. Another athlete that needs a good event here, Patrick Vellner. Rough start with that bike race. Trying to get himself back in there with the muscle ups, but again, it's a very strong athlete overall. He's got, I mean, honestly, if you look at the back squat and the deadlift, his numbers are higher than Matt Fraser, so it's a great position for him to be in. He needs to finish off this day well going into that last event.
This one is all about strength, but what do these guys want to keep in mind now as they attack this event?
Well, you know, it's a pretty fast deal, 4 minutes on each one, so you want to make sure that you're very warm before you get out here. Lift a lot of heavy weights so that nervous system, central nervous system is ready to go. Once you are ready to go out here, you need to think 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You want at least 2 of your lifts to count. Go for a big one on that 3rd, but you're probably going to start at about an 80% or so, then go 90, 95, and then do something special.
Ben Smith is going to hit his opening lift. Now Matt Fraser will hit his as well. 430 is in the books for Ben Smith. Cole Sager just hit 425, and now Matt Fraser at 445 to take the early lead. Adrian Moonwiller is your overall leader. The question is for how much longer, though?
You know, he's got a 1 rep max of 485, so the back squat isn't necessarily his best. He's a little bit better on the deadlift. You compare it to some of the other guys like Ben Smith, who's got a 500-pound back squat. Even Matt Fraser has a 485-pound back squat. So all those guys look very comfortable. Vellner sitting at 430 here on this lift. Nice lift with a 455 overall being his 1 rep max, so not bad. He's sitting right at that 95%.
Patrick Vellner, 23rd overall coming into this event. Now Cole Sager with 435 pounds on the barbell. Sager, 5th overall. Moonwiller has 445 pounds on the barbell.
Wow, that was a little slower than I'd expect him. You usually want to get that little reflex bounce down at the bottom. I didn't see any of that with Adrian.
And now Matt Fraser, 465 pounds.
That looked good.
Still looks like he's warming up.
Yeah.
Ben Smith, 455 pounds. Past the halfway point of this first 4-minute window.
Nice lift.
The mark to beat still belongs to Royce Dunn, 1,255 pounds. That man looking to chase it down and also looking to take that white leader's jersey back that has basically become his. The last 2 years, he's just loaning it out right now to Adrian Moonviller. 460 pounds for Adrian Moonviller as he tries to keep pace with Matt Fraser.
Now, if you look at the difference between the way Adrian lifts, it's very controlled. So you saw him come down very, very easy. The downside with that is that you don't have any bounce at the bottom, and you're actually wasting a lot of energy going down. You see some of the athletes bouncing out and trying to get down there and get back up as fast as they can to save that energy.
Patrick Vellner will hit that. As we have 40 seconds left in this opening back squat window. Moonviller is going to go for 465. That would, at the moment, tie Matt Fraser. Fraser now, as Moonviller misses his lift, 485 for the champ.
Look good. And he's happy about that. I'll tell you what, one of the things that Matt said earlier in the open is that he was bummed that he was in the lead. I think he kind of likes having someone chase him. It kind of gives him that competitive feel again. He wants those juices flowing.
The past 2 years when Matt Fraser has won the CrossFit Games, he has taken the overall lead for good after 3 events. We could have deja vu all over again right now. First 4 minutes is done, and now the athletes transition to the shoulder press, and they will have 4 minutes again to log their best lift, a maximum of 3 attempts in this 4-minute window. Patrick Vellner sits in third after the back squat, 455 pounds. He's tied with Ben Smith, but it's Matt Fraser with a 30-pound lead over everybody.
Now this is going to be the lighter lift of the 3 lifts, obviously, so you're not going to have as much variation on the lifts between all the different athletes, but I think one of the things that you will see is how long does the athlete keep the bar on their shoulders when they come off the rack. Are their elbows up very high, or are they down low so they immediately can start their push? Those that start that push sooner are going to get a much better lift.
Adrian Moonviller was with a no rep at 185. Not sure why. May have had a slight bend in the legs, but they have to be completely and totally strict. They can have no assistance from any other part of their body. No dip in the legs. And Moonviller may have had a little bit of dip in the knees as Cole Sager hits his lift, and now it is Matt Fraser at 185. No problem.
Nice lift. Again, you want that first one to count, just to kind of get something on the board, a decent number to get something on the board.
John Colte has left into second place, 655 pounds for him, and it's Matt Fraser at 670, who is still your leader.
See a bunch of 200s on the floor, people taking their time, getting themselves prepared.
Brent Fikowski is a guy that we haven't talked a whole lot about here on day number 1, but he currently sits in 11th place overall, 9th in the opening event, 13th in the 30 muscle-ups for time, as Patrick Vellner goes for 200 pounds, and a no rep may have had too much arch in his back, or his feet came up.
Thing.
Yeah, his judge indicating the right foot.
Tell you what, that's the most frustrating thing, to get a no rep because your feet are moving.
Moonviller will hit 185 pounds, and Brent Fikowski, you saw him before that, was adjusting his rack. He has 200 pounds on the bar. Now Matt Fraser at 195 as he continues to widen his lead. Noah Olson hits 215. And he moves into a tie for second place. Cole Sager did not get 220 to count, but he still has 90 seconds here in this second 4-minute window. But they can only make a maximum of 3 attempts.
And he had that lift, it was locked out, then his foot moved, and because it didn't show the control, they gave him a no rep.
There's Ethan Helbig at 225 pounds. Took 5th at the Atlantic Regional to make it to the CrossFit Games for the first time in his career. 60 seconds to go. Brent Fikowski at 210.
Wow, nice.
I think that counted for Brent Fikowski, who now increases his total to 645 pounds. Matt Fraser continues to lead at 680, and now Ben Smith at 205.
Nice.
And Smith will hit that. Fraser at 205, no problem.
Looked exactly the same as the 170 he did.
Cole Sager's going to take a slight jump and go for 225.
Keep your feet down. There we go.
And that'll count for Cole Sager. Lucas Oakberg has moved into second place with John Colte. Cole Sager is now in fourth, tied with Noah Olson. And now it's on to the deadlift. Let's take a final look at Noah Olson's last lift at 220 pounds.
Watch the way he does wide stance, so he's very secure. You can see him kind of shifting to the left or the right a little bit, but very strong. Didn't even get too much of a lean back like we've seen some of the other athletes do. Good lift.
And now on to the deadlift. So Matt Fraser leading the heat at 690, but Josh Bridges just hit a deadlift to put himself temporarily in the lead at 800 pounds. The top mark is still 1,255 pounds unofficially, and that belongs to Royce Dunn. And that has stood since the first of three heats. This is the third and final heat here, the third event of the day. 4 events total here on the opening day for the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games, the busiest and probably the most difficult day we have ever had to open the competition to crown the fittest man on earth. Sager 455 is good.
Good lift by Cole. Now, he's not known for his deadlift, so the fact that he's able to sit up there, get himself close to 500, that's a plus for Cole.
Sager had his worst career finish in a deadlift event, the Ranch Deadlift Ladder in 2016. Finished 40th, dead last. Here's James Newbury at 5'10", as Patrick Vellner is in the lead at 1,160 pounds. This is his lift at 505 that put him on top of the leaderboard here in this heat.
Love it. See that? Not a whole lot of wasted time on the setup. Just grab that bar and grip it and rip it.
Patrick Vellner, who last year had to dig himself out of a hole after finishing 36th in the opening event. He's in a similar situation now. 23rd overall, but event number 1, he finished 35th, so nearly identical as Noah Olson hits 500 pounds. Back to Vellner at 565.
Man, that's a jump.
Less than 2 to go before we hit the 12-minute cap. Vellner's on the right, Fraser is on the left.
Wow.
565 is good for Pat Vellner. Fraser will hit his lift. Fraser may not be winning this heat.
But let's think about who needed this. Vellner needed this event, so he had to go big. And if you're going to jump up 70 pounds over Matt Fraser on a lift, now granted, Matt Fraser's not known for a massively heavy deadlift, but beautiful and aggressive attack by Vellner. I love that. That was awesome.
Matt Fraser, like I said, he's not winning the heat, but he is ahead of Adrian Moonwiller, so there's a very good chance that once again, after 3 events, that man could be your overall leader.
Well, real fast, let's think about what we have left. We have a long row later today. So guess what? We are blasting their back with a very, very heavy deadlift. So even though some of these athletes they're risking it. They're going for it. They have to. Someone like Matt Fraser just has to hang in the mix. As long as he knows where he is, that's all he needs to do. Vellner needs a big lift. Matt Fraser didn't need a big lift.
And Vellner is lining up for a huge lift at 595 pounds, less than 30 to go. So plenty of time for Pat Vellner. Fraser's on the right. Pat Vellner at 595.
Man, that didn't even look hard.
Right now, that would be good enough for second place in the event if his total of 1250 officially stands. James Newbury can hit 555 as we close out the final heat. And that man, Pat Vellner, looking to lock up a second place finish as Royce Dunn, unofficially from the first of 3 heats, is your event winner. But Pat Vellner needed to swing for the fences and knock one out of the park, and he does that in event number 3.
A little bit of jostling here between Matt and Pat. You know that he's saying, oh, I got you. Think you're bad? I got you.
Vellner gets the 94 points unofficially if his second place result holds. Matt Fraser right now would be in 8th in the event.
And he looks so confident and powerful on the squat. Yeah, narrow feet, that's that Olympic lifting power that he has. Cole Sager with a beautiful 225-pound press, kept those feet anchored into the ground, got that one to count that round. But a 595-pound deadlift pulled off the ground without any hesitation, without any bobble. And you're right, Sean, he needed to swing for the park, and he did. Beautiful lift.
Pat Vellner, 23rd coming into this event. Second place finish here. Remember last year he went from 36 all the way to 3rd to finish up, and now he is climbing up the leaderboard once again. Lucas Esslinger will take 3rd. Panchik and Naranka rounding out the top 5, and it's Matt Fraser, yet another top 10 finish as he takes 8th. But Vellner is standing by with Mike Arsenault.
Pat, a fantastic performance here on event number 3, but I want to go back to event number 1. How do you maintain your composure when things don't go the way you want to start off the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games?
Well, unfortunately, I've got some experience bombing event 1, so I guess it's the same as last year, unfortunately. I just got to figure it out. But I mean, fortunately, we have 4 events today, and there's a lot of points still on the table. It's a long weekend, and I know that. But you just got to dust yourself off, and I got to stop making a habit about that. It's pretty bad.
How difficult on the CrossFit Total to warm up and then have to wait 10 to 15 minutes in the corral before trying to hit big lifts in the squat for the first portion of the CrossFit Total?
It's different. I mean, you got to game it a little bit and figure out, I mean, you want to be a little conservative coming out, but you do only have 3 attempts. And we saw, I think, on the strict press that some people get a couple no reps for things, and that can be very costly, and you only have a limited window. So you do have to gamble a little bit, but at the same time, if you miss lifts, it's very costly. So some strategy in there.
And speaking of a gamble that paid off, 595 pounds of the deadlift, the biggest lift we saw on that movement throughout the heats. How close is that to your PR?
I've actually never tested my deadlift PR, really. That would be a new PR. But I kind of messed up. I should have just put 2.5 on and pulled 600 for everybody. But anyway, maybe next time.
So we had a tough event number 1. You've crawled back toward the top of the leaderboard. That might put you in the top 10 with your performance at event 2 and event 3. The marathon row coming up. How do you think that's going to be sitting on a rower for that long?
I don't know many people that have ever sat on a rower for that long. Personally, I don't think I've ever sat still for that long. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a long slog, and everybody knows that. So you're going to earn those points. 100 points for 3 hours on a rower seems like a cheap deal compared to the guys who got 100 for 2 minutes of muscle-ups. But anyways, it's going to be the same for everybody, so we got to buckle up. I'm sorry for the spectators who might hang out in the beer gardens and then come by at around 2.5 hour mark.
And maybe bring one for yourself. Great job. We'll see you in the Coliseum.
Cheers. Take care.
Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here, or should I say Matt Fraser is. History repeating itself as Matt Fraser, overall leader after 3 events, and Patrick Vellner making another charge after a bad finish as he goes from 23rd to 9th.
Very impressed with Matt, as always. But, you know, we got a lot of new names up at the top of the board fighting, so he may not just be up there all by himself. I'm excited for the rest of the week.
One event remains on day 1 of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games.